All right, senior owned business family, how you guys doing today? It's Matt, it's Brittney in the house, and we're here talking about senior placement as we always do. Always are doing this thing each and every day. I think that's what you were doing before we got on this call, Brittney. You were on a call with someone and probably doing an intake and follow up, and it's such an exciting business, you guys. If you don't know anything about the senior placement business, we're going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about lead generation. It's probably why you came to this video. I mean, and the title of the video is "Stop Blaming the Market." I mean, your lead problem isn't probably what you think it is, but you need to stop blaming the market. We're going to talk about that today. And before we do, man, if you guys would just do us a favor and click subscribe and hit the notification bell. We'd love for you to be a part of our community. We do have a school community. We do have a lot of people on there in terms of just learning about senior placement. A number of those people are our students as well. But if you would do that, it'd be fantastic. So, Brittney, let's get into it. We're going to talk about lead generation today. And it's to me, it's a fun part of the business because maybe it's my 20, 25 years of sales experience, somewhere around there, of doing various different things. I enjoy the cold calling. I enjoy the reaching out. I enjoy the engagement. I enjoy all that. I mean, and does all that work all the time? No. Do I get rejected? Yes. Do I get told no sometimes, a lot of times, but I just enjoy it. And so I understand that might not be, some people's personality type and who they are, and they take it personally. I don't ever take it personally. I just think if they don't want to do business with me, or it's fine. I mean, maybe someone else is better than I am. Maybe they feel more comfortable with someone else, but I don't take it personally. To me, it's business, and I move on from there. But how do you feel about going out and market and getting leads and things like that? Before we get into the nuts and bolts of how we're going to do some of this stuff, and guys, we'll get into it, but how do you feel about it personally?
I enjoy it, but I will say it's not my favorite thing to do in the business. I really like to help the family. So, yeah.
At least you're being honest, right?
Being honest, not my favorite thing. But I do think from a perspective of it's really cool to create relationships. And, I think you got to train yourself to be okay with the no's. But it's not my favorite thing, but I do enjoy it. Luckily, the longer you do the business, the less of it you have to do. So I will say that.
Yeah. So you've been in the business long enough, right? And that's, we talked about on this channel before, when we first started the coaching side of the business, which I've told you guys the story several different times, where I just kind of got thrown into it. People, super interested in what we're doing, and, didn't even think about doing a coaching arm to this business. And, but people would say at the beginning, when they realized the low subscribers we had, like 6 subscribers on YouTube. We're just getting started. I just started my agency like 6 months prior, and people were like, "Oh, you just started. Oh, you don't have any followers. You know what? I'll come back to you in about a year and see how you're doing." And now, fast forward to where we are today, we got a few amount of followers, and my YouTube channel is not actually the biggest one we've got, but we got a fair amount of followers and a lot of things we're doing and a lot of business. Now people go, "Oh, it's easy for you because you've been doing it for so long." It's just like, ultimately people are just making excuses for what they are not achieving in life. And I get it, not pushing any blame and, trying to be critical, because I've been there before. I kind of say, well, if I didn't have these circumstances, if I didn't have all these things going on, I'd be successful too. And you really got to change your mindset. And it's not a mindset teaching, but I'm telling you, one of the best things I've learned over the years as an entrepreneur, kind of off the record a little bit, is changing my mindset. I mean, there's a lot of things in my conscious mind, because that's kind of the 5 sensories, right? When you smell and you taste and you touch and all that stuff and you see, I mean, all that's going into your conscious mind, but in your subconscious mind is down into the feeling of it, man. You really start to change your paradigm. And when you start changing your paradigm, you start viewing things differently. You have a different perspective. So it's not a paradigm and mindset teaching, but I thought I'd throw that out there. Hopefully that's going to be helpful for somebody. But let's get into it a little bit. Before we get into the lead generation piece, I want to give you the opportunity piece, because I think sometimes people just need to understand the enormous opportunity that we have in senior placement. It's amazing. You get opportunity to help families and residents, and there's such a beautiful side of it. I know the whole thing's not beautiful because we call it graduation, right, Brittney, with seniors graduating to the next level. But ultimately, physically it's decline, right? We're all declining. I'm declining. I can't believe it. We're all, am I declining? I think, when I get to heaven, I'll tell God, I say, you know what? I know it's your game, it's not mine, but it'd be kind of cool if I got to 50 and then kind of go in reverse a little bit. And the reason I like that is because not only the physical part of it, but just the mental part and experience part. I wish I knew in my 20s what I know now. And I, of course, can't go back in time. But anyway, so let's get to it. But here's the opportunity. Let me show you a couple charts. If you look at watching on YouTube, and I apologize if you are watching if you're listening to the podcast, I apologize. You can't see this, but this is the population of 65 years of old, size and percentage of total population from 1920 to 2020. So we're missing 6 years. Okay. We got April of 2026, and stay with me, you guys. Don't give you an offer. Brittney and I decided to do this right before this YouTube video, is that we're gonna give you an offer today, amazing offer only for April 2026. But we'll get into that in just a second. But look at this, 1920, look where the senior population was at. And then now in 2020, I mean, get up here, not quite 60 million, but in the 50s, right? A lot. And you might say, well, okay, because the population is growing. And I get that, but there's so many seniors today. But I want to show you another chart. Check this out. Look where we are today in 2026. It's supposedly not quite 11,000 seniors turning 65 every day. I've seen some other math that it's more like 12,500. But whether you call it 10,000, whether you say 10,000 or 12,500, somewhere in between, it's fine with me. But let's just use this chart for the sake of our example, since we got it on the screen. We're looking at about 10,500 people that are turning 65 each and every day. Now, 2030, we've talked about this before. That is the critical part of this whole deal, because that's when all the baby boomers turn 65. And look at that, 11,000 seniors per day. So if you're looking at an opportunity, meaning you're looking at something that's going to continue to grow, you can look at this chart and say it's actually going to grow for the next 4 years. And you might look at it and say it's going to flatline for the next 10 years thereafter. I don't know. I still look at that as growth, because how many seniors are actually getting to the age of 65. Again, they won't need assisted living necessarily at 65, but you get the point. People are getting older. A lot more people are getting there. I have seen, Brittney, a lot of communities going up, new communities. But I've unfortunately have seen a lot of communities that have wait lists, or they have a low occupancy rate, which is terrible for us as senior placement advisors. But when they do that, there's little opportunity for seniors to get care. And so we can talk a little bit about that. But lead generation piece, what do you think of the opportunity, Brittney? Is there a legitimate opportunity? Because I get this a lot during the consultation calls. Guys, if you want to watch a webinar or schedule a call with me, you can. I'm actually going to give you my cell number in just a moment. Matter of fact, I want to put that up there right now, Brittney. I have this little ticker going on. This is the big surprise we were going to give you before we get into Brittney. What do you think about the opportunity? That's my actual cell number. That's my cell number right here. It's connected to a battery right here, but this is my cell. That is not some random number. And we've decided that we're going to give you a 50% coupon code only for April 2026. Now, I have run in the past like a special or a discount during Christmas or maybe Thanksgiving or something like that. We just woke up with a cheerful, generous heart today, Brittney. We said, you know what? We're going to give you a 50% coupon code today or this month. Matter of fact, you may not have the money today, but you know what? We do have financing. You can actually get in this business, Brittney, do our financing for like less than $200 a month. It's amazing. So anyway, what do you think about the opportunity?
I think there's plenty, like you said, that showed the charts, obviously, that there's 10 to 12,000 seniors turning 65 every day. Not all of them will need assisted living, like you mentioned, but also you have to look at the years to come as well. They're turning 65, but for the next 20 years, let's say, at least, or even 30 years, they could need assisted living or memory care or any of the above. My clients range from 65, I would say, to 103. So it really just depends on that big age difference and what might change. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think senior living companies are planning for the next 20 years. They're not planning for just now. My markets have a lot of assisted livings going up that have 20% occupancy, but they are looking for the future. So they're starting to look at markets and where the need is. I have seen some studies also on the flip side that, yes, there might be 10 to 12,000 seniors turning 65 every day, but how many of them can afford assisted living? So I think there's going to be a lot of market change in the future, a lot of things that have to be coming. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I've had a lot of senior placement agents ask me what's going to happen if they're all full. How will we have a business if they don't need us? But I think you're going to see a shift. And yes, there's more seniors, there's more senior livings, but how many of them can actually afford assisted living, memory care, independent living, those things? So I I could be naive, but I've done some research. I don't think that there will never not be a need for us. Another thing is if more assisted livings go up, more memory cares, that's more competitors for them. That also requires the families to have a lot more information to make a decision. It's not like there's 2 assisted livings to go look at. There might be 20. That's a big difference in why we would be a need.
Yeah, I mean it's the reality of life, right? It's people can afford certain things, and some people can't afford the same thing, right? I mean, whether you're dealing with cars, houses, and I know it's all commodities, and that's not people, and we all want our seniors to be well taken care of, and that's our ultimate goal is for each and every one to be well taken care of, and that's why Brittany, I appreciate you and our business and other students that we have that actually do some pro bono work, right? To really help out seniors, whether they can afford it or not, as best we can. But yeah, it's just the opportunity is just phenomenal. And before we get into some more of the lead generation stuff, this is what you can expect to get. These are some of the things that we have, Brittany, within our community. That 50% off if you want, the Senior Placement Institute, the Senior Referral Academy. We've got all kinds of different things down here, the Senior Placement Challenge, and all kinds of different things. This is part of our community. If you want to go to it, it's Senior Home Business on School, but we would love for you to be a part of the community. So the lead generation piece, I think it's phenomenal, Brittany, or that's probably not the right word, not phenomenal. I think it's just interesting. I think it's fascinating and you and I were talking about this off camera, and I know it's 2 sides to it, but I get a lot of people that I talk to during the consultation call. They want to know the how before they know the what. Like they want to know the how to get leads piece before the process piece. And I just think it's fascinating because the I think of real estate. I don't think too many people get into real estate and they go, how can I get leads? They just learn the process. Or think about insurance, same thing, or cutting hair or whatever it may be. They're going to do something, learn that craft, and then getting the lead part, getting people to buy into what you're selling or what you're doing, whether it be, a customer service kind of deal. It's part of the deal. And so I want to encourage you guys out there, if you're got a love for seniors, you got a love for people, and you want to work for yourself out of your house and do what we do, don't think necessarily about the lead generation piece. Think about the process piece, because I think where it falls sometimes, can you imagine this, Brittany? Can you imagine somebody comes into this business and they don't know the process and they're all going after the leads? Well, can you imagine talking to somebody like that? Let's say the intake call you had this morning before this call, and that person was talking to you and you really didn't know the process that well. They were asking about some ADLs, they're asking about some behavior issues, they're asking about certain maybe questions about the community. Whatever the process they were talking about. And you really didn't have a clue how to answer that. Other than we'll just figure it out. We'll go with it. We'll get you in the right community. I think that would be a downer for the person that's really, I think it would be a lack of trust. You go buy a car, buy a house. Again, they're commodities. I get it. But let's say you go and a realtor shows you a house. And you're walking through the house and you want to know more particulars about the house. Maybe you want to know the amount of insulation in the house. It's things you can't see. And the realtor has not a clue about any of the questions I have. I would begin to question the competency of that realtor. And am I really getting a good deal, or is this person just showing me a house? And I think senior placement agents get to the point sometimes, if they're not careful and they're not competent, they're not studying, they don't know the market, they're just showing communities. Do you like this one? Oh, you don't? Okay, let's go to another one. Oh, you do like this one. Great. Would you like to move in? In real estate, wouldn't that be weird? I wouldn't do that. I get like your house, for instance. I love the wood beams in your house. Okay, so let's say you walked in the house before you and Trey purchased that house. You were like, man, I love the wood beams. That's a plus. It probably gave you a great feeling. But if there were some other things that you did not like about the house, maybe you wanted, I don't know the size of your house, Brittany, and what's all in it, but let's say you wanted a commercial kitchen for some reason, which I know is odd, probably wouldn't happen buying a residential home, but you wanted to do that and it didn't have it, you would be a downer. So same with senior placement. But how important is it to know the process before we get into the lead part of it?
I think we always say we're not salespeople as senior placement agents, and we practice this day in and day out, and a lot of our students do, of course, too. I think this piece comes really into play there when you're doing intakes, or even beyond that, when you are meeting with marketing directors and actually going to get leads. Knowing the process is the trust building part of it. So we're not selling, how amazing we are every single day and how we will help all these seniors get to the right place and everything's rainbows and butterflies. We're not exactly pitching ourselves like that every single day, but having high level conversations with marketing directors, with people to get leads from, and also, of course, the families is actually how you build your reputation. The beauty in this industry is if let's say 50% of how the process works, more than the families. So with that, when you're talking with families, the second that you start talking, let's just say over their head, not in a rude way or not in a demeaning way, but the second that you start explaining the process and how whatever their loved one situation is in, when you can relate and understand that, they automatically trust you almost 9 out of 10 times. They are not skeptical once you have that intake call or meet with that family or whatever this looks like. As soon as you start knowing more than they know in a very classy and purposeful way, that's where the trust is built. There's no need to sell yourself. There's no need to, go on a rant and rave about how long you've been in, say whatever you might be saying about yourself. That's really how you build the connection. And then when you do go to get leads, if you know the process, that's also how you will connect with people in the industry. If you're green and don't know what an ADL is and walk into a hospital and try to get a referral, and you can't even have a conversation in the same language as them, they're not going to trust you. Very rarely were they going to think, oh yeah, Brittney's amazing. She doesn't know anything about senior living or what happens next. She just knows there's buildings and, floor plans and all the good stuff. But if you don't know the ins and outs of the process, it's going to be really hard to connect with healthcare professionals or any other people in this space, because your education and of the process is really what creates that bond.
Yeah. So let's get into the lead generation piece. I know we talked about some process, talked about some different things. I want to give you some how-tos. So if you stayed this long, do you deserve some of this stuff here I'm getting ready to give you? I think, Brittney, personally, what's really increased our business over the years, and this is going to be difficult maybe at the beginning, but maybe not as much as you think if you do it correctly. But everybody wants the how-to, right? They want the script. They want where to go, what to say, all these different things. I'm telling you, in my own experience, and maybe it's not for everybody, but definitely if you're playing the long game, this is the key thing, and that is establishing brand. Our brand we have established through the years now, and people just know us. They trust us. They like us, or maybe they don't trust us. Maybe they don't like us. Whatever the message is, whatever they say behind closed doors when we're not there, that's my brand. Doesn't really matter, but we're getting it out there. And there's no better way to do it than social media, than meeting people in person. Wherever you go, there's a lot of different things you can do, but let's hit the social media part because we're definitely in a place of interest media, not social media. So if you're putting out interesting content, people are going to follow you, right? I got a student, I won't say her name, but she comes and listens to it. She may be listening right now. And she does a video once a week on TikTok. She just started about 2 months ago, I think it is. And we had an idea because she was going to the TSL meetings. We were talking about certain things. And she was like, man, every morning at 3:00, my mom gets up and she takes care of her mom. She goes through this whole big thing. And she's wondering what kind of content she can do for other things. And I said, I think you're kind of missing the mark. I think you really should go and do a 3:00 video. And maybe not show mom what she's doing. I don't know if you want to do that. Depends on what she's doing. Keep things decent. I mean, I know it's 3 a.m. Everybody's got their, different clothes and they sleep in, or maybe don't sleep in clothes. I don't know. Whatever it is at 3 a.m, and don't worry about your hair. Don't worry about the lighting. And I saw her TikTok, a couple of videos this morning before we got online. Amazing. I mean, they're so authentic. And again, I won't say her name on here, but they're so authentic that she's just like looking at the camera. It's dark. It doesn't have studio lights on her. And, people are commenting, following her. That's brand. That's interest. She just started this channel and she's already getting a bunch of people watching it, a bunch of people commenting on the video, right? So whatever channel you go on, whether it be LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever you decide to pick, I'm not advocating one or the other. LinkedIn is the best one for me, Brittney. I don't know about you, but LinkedIn, I think we're just shy of 25,000 followers right now on LinkedIn. That's not huge. I mean, I would say that was huge maybe 5 years ago, but I'm always comparing myself to people that got like the Alex Hormozy types, and all that. Like, so I look at their followers and I look at bottom, like I got like 3 followers. I got no followers. So, but it's almost 25,000, but it's building a brand over time. And reason I say all that, not to impress you with numbers, because my numbers are not that impressive anyway, but it's just people have seen the consistency over time. And I begin to track people to me, leads, different contacts. I'm meeting with a person today at Starbucks later on this afternoon who just opened up her home care business. She did it in January. She actually got her LLC last year. She's a nurse practitioner. She used to work at the hospital. She's, I think, a very good person. I've seen her website, talked to her a little bit. We're going to talk today. And she reached out to me. How do I get all that stuff? She follows me and she reached out to me. I get a lot of that activity because of our brand. So I would encourage each and every one out there today, if you want to do lead generation, attract leads to you. Now you might say, well, man, that doesn't help me one bit. I'm just starting today. Well, start your brand today. That girl that is getting on TikTok, she just started 2 months ago and she's getting followers. She's getting people commenting. So it's consistency. And I think in this business, and maybe other industries too, not just pick on the senior placement industry, but people, this is kind of a start-stop business. I see people because they're interested, they buy into the vision, they see it, oh man, they can't wait to get out there and help seniors and make money. And when they get out there and have no seniors and don't make money, they throw the baby out with the bathwater. They quit. They throw in the towel. And you haven't stopped. I haven't stopped since we started back in 2018. And I think that is part of our secret sauce. I mean, understanding the process, understanding lead generation. We'll tell you a little bit about how we get leads in a second, especially if you stayed on this long. We're going to do that. But I'm telling you, the best thing you can possibly do for yourself is build brand. What do you think about that?
I agree. Yeah. I always talk, with our students and everybody, just find out your brand, what you want to stick by, and also how you want to be different. I get that question all the time. Like, how can I be different? There's so many placement agents, my market has so many. There's always room for you to be different. And there's always room for when that door closes, what people know you for. There's certain things. It could be that honestly, social media is one of them. I have heard multiple times that people make comments about other companies. They're like, they're so good at social media. I actually have done that. We have one of our students who you're talking about and another one that I look at their videos and they catch my eye every single time. And I actually, even when the door shuts there, I'm like, oh my gosh, their social media is so good. Like, it stands out. Their brand stands out. So, or whatever that looks like we're all different people. We're going to have our strong suits. We're going to have our connections. So really honing in on what you want to be different, what you want to be an expert in, and go with that, because there's so much room for so much diversity in this industry that no one has to be the same. And there's so much business for that. So there's plenty of business for individual people to do this. And just to piggyback really quick off what you said, so many people start this business and throw in the towel. We have local franchises in both of my markets. And I have seen even the franchise owners flip in the last 5 years several times. And most of it was because they started, didn't get a check within the first 30 to 60, 90 days, whatever that looks like, and they gave up. Very common.
You go back to that chart, Brittney, in 2030, I think there's going to be a lot of people regretting them giving up.
Agreed.
I think there's going to be a lot of people, they're going, man, I wish I'd have stayed in. You ever had that, like an idea or a thought, and you didn't really pursue it? Maybe you haven't. I don't know. But I know in my life, I've had several of those. And, I give you one example real quick. My gosh, this is heartbreaking for me. But back in the mid 1990s, that kind of dates me. I know I was being a juror, and this lady was suing the city. This is back in Virginia, because she hit the side of an emergency vehicle going through the street light. Anyway, long story, it was raining, cold. Lady wasn't paying attention or didn't see the lights, hear the lights. I don't know what was going on. But one day in the court, and and all these arguments, and then the next day they threw it out. And driving home, I'm always, even at that early age, not early age, mid 1990s for me, but I was always thinking about how to do things better. And you got to ask better questions that get better answers, right? So I'm driving home going, how could this have been prevented? Well, if the lady was paying attention to all that, maybe the emergency vehicle saw her ahead of time, stopped, whatever. I thought, wouldn't it be cool? And it happens today, guys. So I'm saying this in 2026, and some of you are going like, well, no, it happens all the time now. It was not happening back then. And I thought, how cool it would be to have some sort of device in every emergency vehicle when they're about 500 feet, maybe 1,000 feet, 5,000 feet, I don't care what it is. And they push the button and it synchronizes with the lights and they all blink at the same time. So I'm thinking if this lady had red blinking lights, she would have stopped. And it didn't have that back then. I get fast forward, I get to California in 2001. It's when I moved here. It's back when I was reading the paper. I haven't read a paper in 25 years. I was reading the paper and 2001, 2002, I noticed in the paper that somebody was doing that very thing. And I went, that's my idea. Well, it was, but it wasn't because I didn't do anything with it. And I think there's going to be a lot of people in senior placement. They're going to have that kind of experience. I'm at the dining room table looking at this paper going, wow, if only I had pursued that. And I think a lot of people in senior placement, if only I didn't give up, if only I added this to my real estate business, insurance business, if I only pursued this and stuck with it. And it's going to be not too late necessarily, but you're going to be way behind in this business. So let's get into real quick. Brittney, I know we're kind of getting on the 25, 26 minute mark. We want to cut it out about 30 minutes, but let's go through some practical ways people can get leads. But I'm here to tell you, you guys, brand will open up the door. Knowing the process, knowing everything about senior placement and what it takes to effectively get a senior from where they are to where they need to be will keep you in the door. So if you build a brand, flashy kind of stuff, website and all the social media, and you just kind of fake it till you make it kind of stuff, that'll get you in the door, but it won't keep you in the door, Brittney. It just won't, right? I mean, there's plenty of people you encounter that you talk to that you do business with. If you didn't know what you knew, they wouldn't be doing business with you. So let's get into some of the how-tos. I mean, as far as lead generation, if a person was just starting today, let's say, Brittney, they know the process inside and out. They know this business. What would you do today? What's your first move? I'm putting you on the spot. I know we didn't talk about this off air.
No.
So I'm putting Brittney totally on the spot. What's your first move?
I would pick up the phone and have my weekly schedule out, whatever that looks like. And I would book myself with one-to-one meetings I would honestly start in a variety of different places, like any kind of healthcare workers. We talk about social workers a lot, skilled nursing, hospitals is a long-winded answer. But what I would do, because we have found, and I have seen that some placement agents get in kind of a niche on where they get their leads from. So I would probably not put all my eggs in one basket. I would pick up the phone and call as many people possible and get me booked from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day that I possibly could to meet with people and let them know what I'm doing, who I am, and my brand.
I love that. I love the calendar being full. And there's days, guys, quite honestly, and maybe it's because of the age I am and I like to relax some and all that. My calendar is not always full from 8 to 5 and 8 to 6. And some of that I kind of excuse because I'm an entrepreneur, and I know, Brittney, you are too. And I'll work in the evenings or work early in the morning. I try to get an early start, and I kind of feel subconsciously that gives me an edge. I don't know if it really does or not. I think it does. So if you kind of think something works, it's kind of like taking medicine, right? I mean, you don't know if things really going to work. If you kind of believe it's going to work, it actually probably works better. I think scientists will tell you that. If you think it's not going to work, it's not going to work. First thing I would do, oh man, just starting today, I would make a list of skilled nursing facilities. I think you probably knew I was going to say this. I'd make a list of as many as I could, 10, 20. I don't know how many you have in your area. I think in my area, thinking not excluding long-term, excluding post-acute, just going after short-term rehab facilities. I have about 25, 30 that are pretty good. Well, 25 to 30, they're about 15 to 20. They're really good. I'd make a list of them and I would literally cold call. Now, what I do not mean I would not call them and try to get an appointment. I would not email them and try to get an appointment and somehow have their email. Maybe it's on the website. A lot of times it's not. But back in the day, it seemed like social workers had their at least their email online and their extension, their phone number was online, easily, readily available back in 2018. I don't think it's as much today. But I would literally cold call. I'd literally walk in there, just I've demonstrated with others that I've been out with. Fortunately, has some platinum students, some one-on-one, and just walk in and introduce myself. But it would not be, hi, my name is Matt. I'm with Senior Home Business. Can I speak to the social worker? nothing like that. I would go in with only one objective, and that is to have a meaningful conversation with someone. I would not limit my approach to meeting one person. So you ultimately want to meet a social worker, right? But who knows? You might end up meeting the admissions director, the activity director. You might meet a nurse. You might meet someone at the front desk, and obviously you probably will if you walk in. But you might get a conversation with them. I would do that and then take mental notes and then put it in my note app on my phone and get right back in my car and go to the next one, hoping I get a no. My expectations are so high, but yet my practical expectations are so low. I want to know. If I get a no, I achieve something. And I hit every single one of them. Bang, 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 bang. And then I come back and I formulate a plan. Now I've seen 20, 25. Maybe I couldn't get them in all one day. Let's say that's over a period of 3 days, right? Let's say you went and saw 10, 10, and 8 or 10, 10, 5, whatever you did. And you can get 10 guys. You can go to 10 in one day. I know I've done it multiple times. Now, where that gets complicated, if you end up speaking with a social worker, they're not going to give you that much time anyway, but maybe the more conversation you have, it might slow your thing down. But let's say in 3 days, you get 25. I would take that list of 25 and then have a list of all of them again, already written down with my notes in my note app. Then I would take those notes and put it right into an Excel spreadsheet, notebook, whatever you want to do, all what happened, what transpired. And then I have another column right next to it. What's my game plan to achieve and to attack that skilled nursing facility? What's my next move? Because if you don't do this piece, you are literally just starting over. You forgot who you spoke to. You forgot what transpired and all that. And you're starting all over again. Why do you want to start all over? Continue it, man. It's a continuum. So now my next plan, okay, maybe I spoke to the person at the front desk. Social worker was not available. So I got the person's front desk name, and then I got maybe some information about the social worker, maybe a business card, or maybe, she's open for meetings from 10 to 12, or sometimes skilled nursing facilities have these open meetings, kind of like 1 day a week from 3 to 5, whatever it may be, whatever the information is, then I put that in my calendar. That's why I love what you said about the calendar piece, because it's filling up your calendar. That's filling up my calendar, right? So my case would be Monday, cold calling. Tuesday, cold calling. Wednesday, cold calling. Thursday, got my game plan kind of going on, maybe some administrative work, game plan, all this stuff. And then Friday, I'm right back at it. And then I'm working this thing. And I guarantee if you do that, if you know the process. Now, if you don't know the process, it's going to be next to impossible, because they're going to recognize you as being green. Somebody's a newbie. Somebody doesn't really know what they're doing. And if they recognize that, they smell that on you, kind of like when people smell sales. Everybody's buying everything, but we don't like to be sold anything, right? So, but the reason that people don't like that is because they don't like somebody being salesy. They want to purchase, just be nice, be kind, tone you down a little bit, don't be overly aggressive, all that kind of stuff. But with the social workers, you've got to understand this piece. And so that's what I would do. And I guarantee if you do all that, if you know the process, you're going to get 1 or 2 social workers that are willing to work with you. That might take a week, might take 2 weeks. I've done it back in 2018. We still continue to do it in different areas, and it works. I understand it's the rejection game. It's the long game. It's the hard game. It's the, man, I walk in there with an appointment and social worker forgot she scheduled an appointment. She got drawn into a family meeting, and that's more important, honestly, than meeting me. And she don't even really remember my name. I understand all that happens. But if you remain consistent in doing this, it works, and it works every single time. That's what I would do. Man, I'm gonna start a business some other area. I can go walk in. See, I got a marketing director now. I know you do, Brittney, and we got a team. And and quite honestly, I love going out and meeting some of the platinum students, the one-on-ones and things like that, because having a marketing director, I don't do a whole lot of that piece anymore, right? And having social media specialists and different things. So I miss that. Because when I meet my platinum students, man, I was gun ho, ready to go. And then many of them would go, man, how do you keep doing it? And some of it just flows because I've done it for years. And you just got to practice. And let me give you a clue how to practice. Okay, if you stayed this long, we're 34 minutes in this video. If you stayed this long, you deserve this. So here's a way you can practice. You don't want to practice on social workers. You don't want to practice on key contact people like the person I'm meeting with today. If this is the first time I ever met with somebody owning a home care business, I don't want to necessarily, I got to refine the way I speak. Well, what you can do is practice looking in the mirror, number one, just talking, learning. Get your video out. Don't go live or anything. Just record it, kind of hear and see how you sound. Maybe you practice with a friend or a spouse. And then when you go to the grocery store, which I hardly ever go anymore, I know many of you guys don't either. You get Uber, all this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, go out, maybe go to Starbucks today and different places. Interact with people. Learn to open up. Learn to ask questions. Refine those questions. Be more observant. That's one thing when I walk in these skilled nursing facilities, I'm observant, man. I see what's going on. I'm not beelining right to the front desk or trying to bypass the front desk. I've done that many times too, and go right try to get the social worker. But man, I go there and it's like I'm looking around, and you might bump into a senior. I just gave this example several weeks ago. Bumping into a senior sometimes, and bumping into a nurse, or I've noticed colors and pictures, and it's all conversational starters. That's all it is. And so, but how do you get good at that? You've got to practice. And if you go see one skilled nursing every 6 months, you're not going to know what to do. And if you go once a week and you give up, you're definitely not going to do it. You're going to regret it in the long run. So, Brittney, put a bow on this whole thing. Lead generation. But do you hear what Brittney said? Fill up your calendar, right? Hear what Matt said? Man, make a list of skilled nursing facilities and go do it. But you got to understand the process. If you don't, you got to get in Senior Placement Institute. We teach you this. It is the most comprehensive senior placement course in the country. And we're giving you a 50% coupon code the month of April of 2026. So please do not text me at that number, May 2026. Man, I noticed you had a 50% coupon code going on. Well, it's April 2026. The answer is going to be no. And if it's in June, I don't care what it is, it's going to be no. But April 2026, we're extremely generous. We'll give you a 50% coupon code on the anything we got on there that you can go to school, and the links are down below. So Brittney, put a bow on it.
Yeah, no, all good info. Like we said, your phone is not going to ring, and you're not going to get leads if you don't do these things, if you don't book your calendar, if you don't get leads. But you have to know what you're doing before you go get the leads. So I really do think, not that we're unbiased or anything, the amount of information that you get in Senior Placement Institute, the weekly calls, the coaching, I'm an open book. You hear from people that have been doing this for 2, 3, 4 years, people that just started last month. That's invaluable information that you won't get unless you are in a community like this.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here. Brittney, thank you so much for what you do. Students out there, I don't tell you enough because I don't really see you that often. Brittney does. She sees you every week at coaching calls, except for the TSL. I do see a TSL people on Tuesdays. But thank you so much for what you do as well. And if you are struggling whatsoever in your business, I'm telling you, you'll do yourself a favor if you stick with it. Refine what you're doing instead of giving up. Ask better questions, get better answers. Do a deep dive into what you're doing, what's working, what's not. Do an assessment of your whole business and say, hey, this is what I'm going to focus on. And we got students, Brittney, I know that don't do the skilled nursing facility approach that often. They do activities, which I don't do, but it works for them. So what I'm sure they probably did is a deep dive, and that didn't work for me because I'm not that outgoing, and I can't get through the barrier of the front desk, and I'm uncomfortable with all that, whatever the reason may be. And they thrive in activities. They thrive in other areas. So there's plenty of other ways to generate leads, but that's the name of the game. But you got to understand the process first. Don't go into the lead part first. Again, I get a number of these calls, Brittney, they want to jump right into the leads. And how can I get money today? You got to understand the process. That's how you get the leads, is understanding the process, understanding the business. So until next time, God bless.